victory!
What a difference a week makes. Back-to-back victories, and now we are looking for 3 wins on the spin tonight. But this evening here at the Valley, we do have the League One in-form team, Rotherham United. Well, certainly by the end of the night, we'll have a clearer picture of the progress made under Johnny Jackson. Lots coming up in tonight's show, where we will be speaking to the caretaker boss.
It's all faults.
And we'll chat to striker Connor Washington, who got on the score sheet Saturday. We'll speak to the under-18s coach Hamza Sarrar, whose side have made a flying start to the season. And we'll also look back at Saturday's cracking win over Doncaster. I'm delighted to say, joining Alan Curbishley and myself in the Charlton TV studio, presented by DNEL Limited, it is Ali Maxwell from the Not the Top 20 podcast. Ali, how are you?
Evening, Scott. Alan, really well, thanks. Just delighted to be here. I mean, the fixture is a very tasty one. The Valley's going to be rocking, and we're here to talk about it. That couldn't be more exciting, really.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Just tell us, for those who don't know, and I think most people do now as well, tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
So I set up the Not the Top 20 podcast with my friend George 6 years ago. We felt like the coverage of the EFL was lacking the depth that the Premier League fans receive, and we set ourselves a task of trying to do our best to change that. I'm not sure how much progress we've made, but
you've made a lot. It's a very good listen.
That's
the way you dip down into League Two as well as the Championship as well.
Yeah, we commit to covering it all. We think that's very important, and we're just really lucky because the leagues are brilliant to cover from a competitive football standpoint, and through the podcast we've been able to work with Sky and EFL on Quest, and now this. So honestly, living the dream, and just love talking about EFL football.
Tonight is the pinnacle of your television career, especially being alongside the legend that is Alan Curbishley. Anyway, look, don't look at the table, but we've got 2 teams in form tonight, haven't we?
We absolutely do. I am going to drop a clanger early by saying I think Rotherham are the best team in the league, but I think that should be seen as something exciting. As you say, a marker for Johnny Jackson's early progress. I don't think we should be judging his team against a manager in Paul Warne, who has had 4 years to set in his ideas and has a team that know exactly how to play under him. They're going to be a pretty formidable opponent. But watching Charlton attack Doncaster like that on Saturday afternoon was so exciting. It's the first time I've seen a Charlton side play like that this season. It's clearly how we want to see football being played, with such attacking intent, and the players were clearly loving it as well.
It's the first time the fans have seen it this season as well, so don't worry. And you turned it round really well there, starting off with Rotherham being so good. Charlton, a very good watch at the moment. But Curbs, I mean, he's right, it's a big test tonight, isn't it? Will it be a good indicator of how far we've come under Jacko?
If we win it, I think it'll be, a fantastic return for Jacko and the team and everybody else. But you just look at perhaps when Nigel left and the fixtures that Jacko was going to inherit. Sunderland away, OK, Doncaster, which they were very poor here on Saturday, but then Rotherham and I think Plymouth on the horizon in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, we're playing against 3 of the top sides in between a couple of games that perhaps we'd look at and think perhaps we should win them. So if we can come out unscathed tonight, I'm not downing us that much, but if we can come out unscathed, that'd be a real result. If we can win it, as we keep saying, that's 3 on the spin. The thing starts to get galvanised, the fans are getting behind it, and who knows? There is an opportunity. We've got to do fantastically well to shoot up the league and get in that top 6. You're Mr. Optimistic, right? You think it can be done. If we win a couple more on the spin, I think everybody will believe it can be done.
The glass is always half full in my world, Curbs.
Yeah, but when you've been a manager, it's half and half.
You've kept your hair well anyway, I have to say. OK, look, a kick-off less than 45 minutes away. If you're not coming to the Valley, get your Charlton pass now, please, because remember, we are streaming worldwide, UK and Ireland. But let's get cracking, shall we? I spoke to Johnny Jackson a little bit earlier. Jacko, good to see you. First of all, let's touch on Saturday. Great game, brilliant win. Now you've had a couple of days to digest on it. What pleased you most?
Cool, good question. Put me on the spot early doors, Scott. I think it's probably the clean sheet, to be honest. There was loads of aspects that I enjoyed. I thought we scored some good goals. Should have scored more. That was my slight disappointment with it, but really pleased with the clean sheets. I think we said after Sunderland that runs of victories are built on clean sheets, and climbing up the table is built on clean sheets. So to get back-to-back clean sheets and back-to-back victories for the first time in the season is obviously pleasing.
Yeah, the biggest problem I feel has been us without the ball, and clearly they have been worked on in the last week or so since you've taken charge. How much did you allow yourself to enjoy it afterwards before you actually switched to tonight's game?
Not very long, not very long. We had a glass of wine afterwards in the office, and then it's all thoughts turned to the next day. We was in Sunday, preparing obviously for a big test tonight, so you don't have time to dwell. Especially when you've got the quick turnaround with the Tuesday night games. So yeah, it was by sort of probably 7 o'clock Saturday evening I was thinking about this one.
I'm sure you were. And it is a big test tonight, isn't it? Rotherham thrashed Sunderland 5-1, and they'll be up there, right up there come the end of the season, won't they?
Real big test for us tonight. Rotherham are a very good side. Paul and Richie have got them playing some good stuff, and strong, physical. It's a real test for us tonight. I think they're one of the best sides in the league for sure. But for me, it's an exciting challenge. Let's see where we're at, because we've shown improvement over the last 2 games. It's another chance for us to show even more improvement, hopefully, and to match ourselves against a real tough physical test.
Yeah, 2 wins out of 2, and for you personally, and it has been superb performances as well for both of those games. But how much do you feel tonight will be a yardstick of how far you've come?
I think it's a different type of test to us. Obviously, I mean, the first game probably doesn't come any tougher either. Up at Sunderland, who obviously had a 100% winning home record. So to go there and do what we've done was brilliant. Saturday we played well against a good side. We made them look ordinary, but Doncaster are a good side. We spoke about that before the game, that they can hurt you. We didn't allow them to. Tonight, again, another completely different test. So 3 games, 3 different types of challenges. We're going to have to be on our game tonight. We're going to have to show the levels of intensity and work ethic that we have done in the previous 2, just to match Rotherham, and then we'll be in a proper game.
So how will we line up tonight?
So the team's very similar. Obviously, Lico went off early on Saturday, and he'll miss out. So DJ comes into the side for Lico, and apart from that, we're unchanged.
Final one as well. The fans were superb at the weekend. What message would you give them for tonight?
Just that I really hope that they enjoyed the game Saturday. I hope we put on a performance that they can enjoy and be proud of, and I hope it made 1 or 2 that were thinking about perhaps not coming, returning. Hopefully a few new fans, because obviously kids for a quid. Hope they enjoyed it, and we can start getting bigger crowds here in at the Valley, because their support is obviously incredible, and the more they get behind us, the more it galvanises the team, and the team will give them something to shout about, I'm sure.
Good luck tonight.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, so just the one change then. Looking a bit cold, Jacko. It's a bit cold out there, Curbishley, isn't it? But these lads won't be cold when they're running around. 3-5-2, just that one changed. Interested as well, Curbs, another enforced one. So Jacko's only making changes when they're enforced.
Yeah, I mean, what you said against Sunderland, look, you're starting. Keep the shirt if you can. And to be fair, the only reason it has changed is because of injuries. Now, the people that have come in, no matter what, you keep the shirt, because you've got it to start tonight. Obviously, it's been enforced.
And DJ did well, didn't he, when he came on?
Yeah, he did do well. I think he needs a confidence boost, and he nearly made a couple of goals on Saturday. He needs a little bit of an injection, I think, and we could see the real JD.
What do you make of the team, Ali?
Well, I really enjoyed the whole shape on the weekend, and so I'm pleased to see that he's sticking with it for this game. I think, for me, that the star man, even in the tougher times this season, is Jayden Stockley. I really think at this level, he is not just a large target man who can win aerial duels and isn't good for anything else. I think we've seen over the last 18 months that there is a lot more to his game. Having said that, he is elite in the air at this level. I think he won 12 out of 14 aerial duels against the Donny centre-backs on the weekend. So if
First step down like that.
Exactly. if you're going to get Connor Washington as close to him as possible and running in behind for the flick-ons, and as we saw on Saturday, if Elliot Lee and Gilby feel that they can get forward as well, they've got the confidence to do that and get close to him. These are quality technical players who will score goals with the service and with good balls in from wide areas as well. Stockley himself, we know, can get in between defenders and head home. So I think it's it's a five-man defence, but it's an attacking formation for me for Charlton, and that's good to see.
See, when Jacko took over at Sunderland and he announced his 11, and then the boys on the bench, there was people left out completely. Had their nose put out of joint and perhaps a little bit miserable, but a new man took over. We take it. We got the result. So then injuries have come along. So 3 have come off the bench and 3 have come out the stands. And suddenly you start getting that feeling that we've got a squad, and if we get the result tonight, someone else might go down with an injury. Or someone will come in on Saturday, someone will come out of nowhere, out the stands onto the bench, and then suddenly you've got your squad and they're all firing and they're all going in the same direction.
And it's all about winning games as well anyway, isn't it? If you're winning, then no one can complain if you're not playing.
No one knocks on. If you make decisions and like Jacko did for the first game and you go and win it, no one can knock on the door. Yeah. You know that. Or did you ever get left out?
You didn't leave me out. you never left me out.
No, but you know what I mean. If you make a decision as a manager, and you upset a few, but you go and get the result, then that's great, because they can't say anything. Yeah. You can't keep winning, but what he's doing, because of the injuries and hopefully the results, everyone's getting on board slowly. And we have got a massive squad, we know that. So there are going to be, like Charlie Kirk, completely bombed out for 2 weeks. Who knows, he might come on after 15, 20 minutes and then suddenly be back in.
Point of proof.
Absolutely.
Yeah. OK, well, let's have a look at the league table, shall we? Unfortunately, we've got to look at the bottom half first, because that's where we are. But it is looking a little bit brighter. We are out of the relegation zone after back-to-back wins and could rise to 17th with a victory tonight. Doncaster and Crewe are rooted to the bottom of the table and have by far the worst goal differences in the division as well. And Portsmouth rose up to 13th on Saturday after beating Bolton at Fratton Park. And look, Curbs, I mean, psychologically, it's still early days, of course, but psychologically, how important is it we're out of the relegation zone?
Well, there's 2 things. What's happened in the last couple of weeks is the players will be much more up for the game, confident and looking forward, actually, to the matches. And the fans will be coming in here tonight. The fans ain't silly. They know we've got a tough game. They know. They've seen what Rotherham done at the weekend. But you know what? They're believing a little bit that we could get the result tonight. And they're coming in like that way, as opposed to, So I'm looking forward to the crowd as well tonight, because we really need them to get behind us.
And I don't have the sentimental attachment to the club, but I always think...
You will do after tonight.
Probably, yeah. I always think to get too focused on that dotted line at this stage of the season, it can actually be counterproductive, really, because after such a good result against Sunderland and Doncaster, if Rotherham are too good tonight and too set in their ways and Charlton aren't quite ready to deal with that, there's every chance that they could be below the dotted line. There's no point overreacting to a win against Doncaster on Saturday and then getting hysterical on a Tuesday night if you lose. I think the main thing is to focus on the performance of the team, the positives, and see the direction that they're heading in. And whatever happens tonight, they could put in a good performance and lose. That would be what I would suggest fans would focus on, more than that dotted line. Whether you're 22nd or 21st doesn't make a huge difference to me at this stage.
I'm not a big stats man, but I do like 1 or 2 of them. If we get the result tonight, and great, we'll go on to the weekend as well, we'll be in that top half. By the end of this weekend, we could be in the top half.
Well, we've got the FA Cup
we've got the FA Cup.
but
the next 2 league
games.
The next 2 league games, because of the way the league is, another 6 points will take us halfway. And then that suddenly changes the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at the top half then, shall we? Where are we going to be in a couple of league games' time? Plymouth stayed top on Saturday. Wigan jumped back to second, with Wycombe and Sunderland dropping points, and Rotherham handed out a 5-1 thrashing to Sunderland. And Ali, we ask this to pretty much everyone. At some point this season, we're going to stop asking this question, but you know the teams very well, so you're a good person to ask. Who do you expect to be up there come the end of the season?
Well, it's a large group.
How many?
Really, isn't it? Because it's incredible renewal of League One this season. It's everything that we hoped it would be in the summer when we looked at the team names involved, and even some of the less so-called big clubs are clubs on the up, are clubs that will run well with good young managers and attacking style of football. You know, particularly MK Dons, Oxford United, Plymouth Argyle would fit that bill. Even Lincoln City down there in 12th. But I picked Rotherham to win the title at the start of the season. I actually felt that their problem in finishing chances towards the back end of the Championship season could a lot be put down to fatigue and the pressure of a relegation battle. But at this level, under the same manager, we've seen them dominate in the style that they've been doing over the last few weeks. I've seen nothing to suggest that they'll be anywhere other than up there, as you say. But for the fact of there to be 5 teams on 2 points per game, which is 92 points over the course of a season, 5 teams on 2 points per game or more, even at an early stage, is pretty sensational. And that's why, you know, people still look at Ipswich Town in 11th. They are not a million miles off, and you can see why their fans would talk themselves into being a few wins away from the playoff places. But when the teams at the top are picking up points at that rate, they're much harder to catch. So it's a big one. Rotherham, for me, and I think Wigan are just really businesslike. They seem to win without too much fuss. Squad depth could be an issue later on in the season, but they'd be my top 2 from what I've seen so far.
They were very good here at the Valley, I have to say. Let's have a look at the fixtures tonight, and there are 7 in total in League One. All of these games were originally scheduled to take place during one of the international breaks. Wigan are the team that will end the night top. If they win at Fleetwood, if they don't, it will open a door for Rotherham, which we obviously hope won't be the case. Elsewhere, Lee Johnson's Sunderland face another tough test as they head to Hillsborough to play Sheffield Wednesday. Ipswich will hope to bounce back from their defeat at Plymouth on Saturday when they travel to Wickham tonight. That's a tough one. Curbs, standout fixture for you?
Wednesday, Sunderland. I mean, we've been talking, and Ali said there about the strength of this league. I mean, it's 2 Premier League clubs. Isn't it? You know, and there's so many ex-Premier League clubs in that division there. And when you look at the table, you know, you look at it and think, blimey, you know, this is a tough league. Everyone talks about the Championship, but this is just as tough.
Yeah. Ali, just before we move on, we're already over. We normally are at this stage. But I've got to ask you as well. I mean, Lee Johnson's doing a great job up at Sunderland. He's someone who I like a lot, actually, but the Charlton fans don't like him at the moment from what he said after the game. What do you make of the job he's done?
I've seen this developing over the last few weeks. A bit of a spicy affair. And to be honest, that's what I love covering these leagues. I love the sort of in-season rivalries that can grow between teams who might not be geographically close. So, you know, I think, and Alan will know better than me, that as a football manager under pressure, sometimes you might say irrational things or things that serve you and don't serve another team that you don't care too much about.
Fed up with us.
Fed up with you?
Well, fed up with us. Bow at the playoff final as well. But you know,
for the record, I don't think it was a headbutt.
No.
So I don't think he was right to say what he said.
But he also upset Arsenal and Spurs, didn't he? Before
did.
the League Cup,
Yes,
before the League Cup tour,
Yeah.
and they've gone and got Arsenal, haven't
I want to play a big club later on.
Yeah.
Before that, Arsenal or Spurs will do. They've got Arsenal as well. That's going to be interesting. OK, more on today shortly, but let's go to club news now, shall we? And as always, we start with home ticket news. And tickets for our next 3 home matches against Havant and Waterlooville in the FA Cup and Plymouth and Ipswich in the league are now on sale. Adult tickets for both league fixtures start at £18 each, while adult tickets for the FA Cup clash are just £10. Streaming news now, and a reminder that you can watch tonight's game live on Charlton TV anywhere in the world, including the UK and Ireland. So if you're watching us on social media and haven't purchased your match pass yet, then get it now. You can go to cafc.co.uk for just a tenner. Looking ahead to Saturday when we host Havant and Waterlooville in the FA Cup. Now, FA broadcasting regulations dictate that we cannot live stream the match at all. Charlton TV subscribers all over the world, though, will be able to tune into live audio commentary of the tie, and non-subscribers can purchase a 48-hour live audio pass for just £4. I know you'll do that, Curbs. Well, the club announced recently that it has reduced the price of its popular Valley Express coach service. Valley Express offers supporters transport to and from Charlton from dozens of pickup points across Kent and Sussex. And the new structure sees tickets priced at £10. To book your spot on the Valley Express, please head to booking.cafc.co.uk. Now, it was, of course, Halloween on Sunday, and ahead of the spooky celebration, the club invited supporters to contribute play-on-word names to its Halloween Addict squad. In case you missed it, here is the final squad, and interestingly, the manager is Alan Curbishley. Kurtz, what do you make of that? You've been called worse. Brownie's called you worse, hasn't he?
Well, no, not really. I've been called worse, though.
OK, finally, Saturday's win was a cracker, and it was great to see it witnessed by the next generation of Charlton supporters, thanks to the club's Kids for a Quid ticket initiative. Curbs, look, great to see so many youngsters in the crowd at the weekend. This is what the club's all about, isn't it? Well, family.
I do go back to, you know, when we left the Valley. You know, we left the Valley, we was away for nearly 7 years. So the premise was, when we came back, all the 7-year-olds that lived in this area were now 14 supporting someone else, not supporting Charlton, because we was at Sellers Park, Upton Park. So you have to grab them young. And if we can grab 7, 8, 9-year-olds they may stay with us. You know, especially if we're successful as it goes along.
Yeah, hopefully a few of them are here tonight, if allowed, of course. Right, some kids will still be on half-term this week, and the ones last week, those taking part in the Charlton Athletic Community Trust holiday courses, got a surprise visit from a certain George Dobson.
I've just come down to have a little Q&A and meet all the kids at the soccer school. It's obviously brilliant that the trust put it on for anyone who obviously during half term needs a place to go during the day. And yeah, I think when I was speaking, there's 90 people here, so obviously a lot of people take it up, and yeah, it's brilliant, really. I used to come to soccer schools like these when I was young, all the way growing up, so yeah, it does take you back. Everyone chasing after the ball and just having fun with your mates. No, it's good. I had so many questions, to be fair. It was obviously just nice to come down and say hello, and that they seem to really enjoy it when a player comes down.
Great to see George taking the time to head over to the courses. And, you know, Curbs, that's another thing in the club's DNA, isn't it? The community.
Absolutely. As I said earlier about coming back to the ground, we had to start again. We had to attract young supporters, and that is part of it, you know, having them soccer schools and that. And it looks like Mr. Dobson's a bit of a character, doesn't it? You know, he's everywhere at the moment, isn't he?
He's everywhere on the pitch, he's everywhere off it. Fantastic. Yeah. OK, right, Charlton under-18s have had a brilliant start to the season and have scored 3 or more goals in each of the last 7 matches. They head to Worthing in the first round of the FA Youth Cup on Thursday, and head coach Hamza Sarrar spoke to Charlotte Richardson a little earlier.
Hamza, it's been a great start to the season. How impressed and pleased have you been with the campaign the boys have made?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with how the season's been so far. I think we didn't start so well, to be fair, against Peterborough, the first game of the season, because we lost. But in the meantime, it was a good, humbling experience for the team to understand that we need to actually earn the right to win football matches and perform. And I think since then, we've just sort of gradually drew against Sheffield at home, and then since then we've just been winning every single match up until now. Performance has been very good, especially going forward. I think we have some good attackers. We attack with purpose and balance, and we've got the players to do it. So I'm really blessed in terms of having the players, and all. Obviously, credit goes to the coaches in the foundation phase, the youth development phase, the recruitment team as well. They've done great work there, and the staff that we have in our under-18s, the likes of James Parker, Lloyd, and Andriana, Yilmaz. I don't want to leave anyone out because they do a great job. And also, of course, Steve Avery, who works alongside me and, you know, advises me on a lot of things. So, yeah.
It's clear it's a huge team effort, but you mentioned the forwards there. The goals have been free-flowing. What's the secret?
It's just good players. We do actually have some good ideas in terms of attacking. We attack down the sides quite effectively, but also we're very quick on the counter-attack. So we have the ingredients to actually dominate possession as well as counter-attack. So I think it's really tough for the opposition to sort of play against us in that way, because we can hurt them in other areas, so they can't stop everything.
And it's a big week this week. You travel to Worthing on Thursday evening for the FA Youth Cup. How much are you and the boys looking forward to that match?
I try to play it down and say just as a normal game, but obviously it's the Youth Cup. It's the first game this season. We normally have a good run in the FA Youth Cup, particularly with this group of players. They've had experience last year. We're really looking forward to it, but in the meantime we just prepare for it as a normal game. We're so consistent with what we do every day. whether he's preparing for a friendly, a pre-season friendly, a league game or a Premier League Cup or a Youth Cup. We have a consistent way of approaching games.
And there is something quite special, though, about the FA Youth Cup. For supporters that perhaps might not be so aware, can you give a bit of context about the competition?
It's the Premier League of youth football. So you can play against the bigger clubs from Cat 1, Cat 2 or non-league. So it's got that variety. It's got the history of being the pinnacle of youth football. And of course, it's something for the boys to look forward to, and hopefully we can have a good run this season.
Fingers crossed. And of course, Charlton TV subscribers can watch the game. It's going to be streamed. Who should we be keeping an eye out for, and what kind of football can we expect to enjoy on Thursday?
If you look at our results, you're definitely going to see some attacking football. I don't think there's been any games where we haven't scored goals, except for the first game actually against Peterborough. But ever since, we've been averaging 4 to 5 goals a game. So we're quite open. We take risks. We go and attack. So I think the fans will be entertained, but also hopefully we can do the business in the 90 minutes and not drag it on to extra time, because it's a long journey. But having said that, of course, we have to stay humble and earn the right to actually go and play well and hopefully get a victory.
Well, fingers crossed. Best of luck to you and the boys, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We'd definitely encourage people to watch the live stream. Back over to you, Scott.
We most definitely do, Charlotte. Thanks very much. And good luck, Hamza, of course, to the under-18s on Thursday in the FA Youth Cup first round. Ali, a lot's here talked about the success of the academy at Charlton. What's it seen like from the outside?
Very impressive. I think a lot of people know about Konza and Joe Gomez, more attacking technical players like Aribo and Adamola Lookman. I mean, it's an amazing area of the country for talented youngsters. So to get them in, to get them committed to the Charlton Academy, to play the way that they're playing, have fun with it, but learn as well with good coaches. It's such a powerful thing, and certainly we'd hope to see some more academy graduates make their way into the first team over the next few years.
Absolutely. Curbs, when you were a manager here, how much attention did you pay towards the FA Youth Cup?
When me and Stevie Grip first took over, there was a pathway, because we didn't have the biggest squad and finances were really tight. So youngsters got a chance, as you know. And then as we progressed, perhaps they got stifled a little bit, and I think the quality then come through, like your Bowyers, your Parkers, your Concheskis, and whatever, and your Mintos, I suppose. But
through gritted teeth for that, wasn't it?
But I know that Thomas is big on this, and the club are directing money towards the academy, because where we are at the moment, perhaps we're probably going to stifle them a little bit more, because we've got to go up. So perhaps the manager will go with experience more than that. But there's got to be seen as the pathway, and where we are in London with the big Premier League clubs, we perhaps can say to a young player, listen, come here, because you've got more of a chance of playing, and then if you do well, like the Lookmans and the John Joe Shelby's and this one and that one, Joe Gomez, you'll get your move. Yeah. You'll get your move to the big club, and you'll be ready. And that was the thing with Black Parker and Bow. When they left it, they were ready to go to Leeds and Chelsea, physically and mentally. So, we are in a unique position, I think, to really give it a go with our academies and try and attract some young players.
It was before you were manager, but I think the only time that we've got to the FA Youth Cup final was back in 1987. There was a very young 15-year-old left-back, can't remember his name. Yeah,
and I think that was Bo was in that as well.
No, Bo... Bo would have been about 11 at the time. Anyway, we've got to move on. Let's talk about League One and one of the reasons why you're here as well. You're tap into your expertise, Ali. Plymouth lead the way at the moment, as we saw earlier. Some might think from the outside that's a big surprise. Was it a surprise for you? And what's making them so successful at the moment?
Overall, as a club, Argyle are one of the most impressive in the EFL, I would say. The way that they are run with an eye on sustainability, which is very, very difficult for EFL clubs, and to compete while moving towards a sustainable model. But also in terms of their style of play, sticking with Ryan Lowe during the bad times. And I would still say this is a very, very surprising start to the season, because last season they lost 11 of their last 15 league games and they just plummeted down the table. And so you wondered whether that would sort of bleed into this season. Very particularly defensive issues. They just, teams against them had no problem getting good efforts at their goal. They were 2-3 goals conceded every game. And even though they've always been a good attacking team, Ryan Lowe's teams always are, they just couldn't pick up points. But over the summer, signed a whole new defence, new holding midfielder in Jordan Houghton, and it's just revolutionised anything. They're still scoring goals at a high rate. They're not conceding them, and we know what that does to your league position.
And we should see if they can keep that up. Look, in recent years in League One, we've had Shrewsbury, Wycombe, last year Lincoln upsetting the odds and going for promotion. Wycombe went up, of course, just a couple of seasons ago. Why do you think it seems quite commonplace for smaller clubs in League One to be so successful?
It does seem to happen probably more in League One and League Two than the Championship. I think that's fair to say. Just in general, I think it's the beauty of the English league pyramid. You know, I think pre-season, a lot of people focus too much on the name of the club in deciding where they think they'll finish and what their expectations should be. And that's not really how football works on the pitch, and doesn't pick up a result just because you've got the biggest budget and the biggest history. I think what we've seen over the years is well-run clubs over a couple of years, if they put together a few good transfer windows, maybe with a talented young manager and a squad of players that haven't got hundreds of appearances under their belt at the level, but are hungry for more and a really good unit, it's not that difficult to punch above your weight. And that's the beauty of the leagues, because if it was predictable, it'd be quite boring.
Absolutely. A talented young manager who gets hungry players. I've heard that. I've angry ones as well. I've heard that somewhere before.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, you know, what you did to get Charlton into the Premier League was incredible, and keep Charlton there for so long. What was the secret for you?
Doing our homework on the players, and when the players came in, they understood what was needed. We got it wrong on a couple of occasions, but mainly we got it right. That they came in, they understood what we were about. And I know this new word, philosophy, but you know, they knew what Charlton was about. And as we progressed, they probably didn't know where we come from. You know, they just knew us as Premier League club. But you know, in the early days, and Ali's right, we used to go to places as the underdogs and relish that. And I think we've found that a few times over the last couple of seasons. You know, teams will come to the Valley and go to some of these big clubs, because we've already mentioned how many big clubs are in and fantastic stadiums are in Division 1, and really relish the fact that, you know, no one gives them a hope and then boom, they turn you over and they get back on the bus and go like that, you know, which is what we did on a few occasions.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, has there ever been a time with so many big clubs in the third tier of English football? I asked you earlier on that, but how many in terms of numbers do you think are really going for top six?
Yeah, in terms of pre-season expectation, we really felt this with what fans were saying to us pre-season on the podcast. You know, we do a full 1 to 24 league prediction every single season before the season, and you know, you can't keep everyone happy because there are only 6 spots for the playoffs and automatics, and we reckoned there were probably 12 or 13 teams who thought realistically that's our aim, top 6, maybe 4 or 5 of them top 2, and you know, those numbers don't fit. So there's always going to be, early on in the season, teams who aren't hitting those early expectations. In fact, this season we're seeing that it's some of those bigger clubs, Ipswich Town, Sheffield Wednesday, they have given themselves a lot of work to do. And as we say, some of the other clubs who have really hit the ground running, whether it's Argyle, who've improved massively, whether it's Rotherham and Wycombe, who came down from the Championship last season, you know, it doesn't really matter who it is. There's just so many clubs going for it. It's so exciting.
Some big clubs at this level, some big players too. Yeah. Who's been the standout one so far for you?
Well, one particularly tall player who I think we're seeing action tonight playing up front for Rotherham, Michael Smith, who I know played for Charlton when he was a much younger player. And I must say, I think this happens maybe with strikers more so than some other positions on the pitch. He has really blossomed quite late in his career. He's 30 years old now, but what a talisman he is for this side, and he's just turned into the all-round striker really, because he's tall and he's very happy scoring headed goals, having long balls directed to him and knocking them down to his teammates, but he runs channels as well. He's got quite a few assists already over the last, with 3 this season and a couple last season. You'll see him running the channels and whipping balls in for his teammates as well. He's not worried enough to do that. So 12 goals and 3 assists, 15 combined in 15 games. That takes some doing, and he's going to be a tough one for the 3 centre-backs to get a hold of tonight.
Okay, I'm starting to get worried now, to be honest. Because great stuff, Ali. Thank you very much indeed. Look, let's bring it back round to present day, shall we, in terms of what we saw on Saturday. I mean, it was a fantastic win against Doncaster, wasn't it? 4 goals scored, clean sheet. I mean, the 4-0 probably flattered them rather than us.
I mean, you can only play against who's in front of you, can't you? And on the day, Doncaster were really poor. Richie Wellens said that. He couldn't believe the performance they put in. But we looked comfortable in terms of the shape. We look comfortable on the ball, and as Ali said earlier, for me the midfield 3 have got that mix. You've got Dobson who wants to hold, You've got Gilby who wants to get in the box, and you've got Elliot Lee who can do all sorts. He can make a goal, score a goal. He can drop back into midfield, and he's got that defensive responsibility, and I think that's what we've been lacking in midfield. We've not had that defensive responsibility that when it got tough, we could cope.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jacko said both on and off air that almost all they've worked on is without the ball and defensively as well. They give protection defensively, and actually the fact that we hardly concede no shots on target as well. That's the thing that he was most pleased about. Yeah, we've been talking so many times this season and last, to be fair, haven't we? Needing 2 or 3 goals to win a game.
Yeah, you can't carry on like that, obviously, as you know. But we've also seen players in the opposition have a couple of touches on the outside of our box. Then have another touch before they have their shot, and no one's come out and blocked. Well, we didn't see that on Saturday because people got out there and blocked. And to be fair, if you've took over like Jacko and you know the players like he does, then he'd have sat down and gone, listen, we've got to stop letting goals in. We've got to make ourselves more difficult to beat because we know we've got players that can go the other way and create stuff. But you can't keep coming back from 2 goals, which is what has happened to us too many times.
Ali, no disrespect to Donny, but on Saturday you could see why they're down there. What was the expectation on them before the season started? What's the expectation now, do you feel?
I think it's difficult for a club like Doncaster, who've been in League One for a few seasons now, but they find it difficult to compete budget-wise. They've chopped and changed managers, and that makes it hard when the league gets stronger overnight, or rather over the course of a summer. You expect maybe we could have a good season, push for playoffs, but realistically, you're much further down in the pecking order than you ever were. And I really like Richie Wellens, the job that he did at Swindon, winning promotion from League Two, one of the best sort of first proper managerial jobs we've seen. He'd had a spell at Oldham before, but that was a bit of a tricky one for him. So I expected him to get a hold of this Doncaster side, and he hasn't been able to do that just yet. They've had terrible injuries, lack of consistency in selection, but you see them just folding over time and time again. It's pretty concerning for them. And as I say, when there's so many good teams in the league, you can't afford to be down the bottom even this early on because you can get cut adrift.
Absolutely. Well, Connor Washington, I have to say, was absolutely excellent. He scored, of course, as well. Very well taken penalty, and I spoke to him a little bit earlier. Connor, a great result on Saturday, and you were back in with the goals as well. How pleased were you with your own performance?
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game for us. I think really important that we put on a show for the fans because I thought they were exceptional, and hopefully more of the same tonight. And like you say, it's always nice to get on the score sheet. I need to probably start doing it from open play now, starting tonight. So nice to be back playing through the middle, and yeah, like you say, hopefully add to that tally.
Don't knock the penalties. It's very nerve-wracking to take the penalties. Not many in an 11 would take the penalty. So you weren't put off in any way by the Doncaster fan who was topless and moving behind the goal.
Do you know what? I didn't see it, actually, to be honest, which is probably quite lucky. But no, I've really enjoyed taking them since I've been here. It's nice to be given that responsibility, especially as a striker. Obviously, I see it as a free hit from 12 yards. So hopefully the lads can get me some more tonight.
You've played more centrally, of course, in the last couple of games. How much have you enjoyed playing with Jayden?
Yeah, it's been brilliant, to be honest. I think, sort of said at the start of the season, I'd love to play with him, and I think he's similar to me. Most strikers prefer playing in a 2 from my experience. So it's nice to get around him. He's great to play off, as you can see, and he brings a lot of things that I don't, and I think I probably complement him in the same way. So yeah, it's great to be back up there, and I just need to just keep getting in those areas and scoring goals.
Do you prefer being, well, I know you prefer being more central. What's the difference between playing up front or playing out on the wing for you?
I just feel it's a lot more natural for me. I think I've played there 99% of my career. Obviously, I have played wide. I played there under Bowes as well, which was a slightly different one because it was sort of a half and half position. But yeah, like I say, I just feel natural from there. The runs are easier. I naturally do drift out to the left, but I prefer making that run from in to out, if you like. So, and I think it probably causes more problems, and I'm probably a little bit easier to mark coming in from the left, to be honest, because obviously it's pretty obvious what I'd like to do from there. So yeah, it feels great to be back up there, and the other positive is that I get left on the last line of defence as well. So any sort of hook clearances or anything like that, I mean, my eyes light up at stuff like that. So hopefully get a few chances tonight.
And you don't have to track back as much, of course, as well.
No, exactly.
Which always helps. I mean, what's the mood like at the moment? It must be completely different to how it was just a fortnight or so ago.
Yeah, it's amazing what a couple of weeks in football can do, isn't it? the results have been great, and there's a real positive vibe now. And I think the performance as well as the result on Saturday go a long way to showing what this group can do. Doncaster aren't a bad side. I know they're down there, but I can't imagine they'll beat with the players they've got. They're not going to be there all year. And the Sunderland game was just a really solid, good performance. And I think the 3 games obviously Jacko's had, with this one included, are just great games for us as a group. The real big test away at Sunderland, then the test at home, and then a really good side tonight as well. So this is a really good test marker for where we're at, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive test tonight, isn't it? They've got the joint best defence in League One. How do you see that as a striker?
It's a challenge, isn't it? Yeah, they're a good side, there's no doubt in that. They always have been at this level. I think they've obviously struggled to make the step up a few times, but at this level they're a really good team, and he's a really good manager as well, and they know exactly what they're doing and how they're going to play. So, and we know that as well. So we've got to combat all of that and hopefully get the result.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, challenge was the word I was looking for. So great to hear that word coming out of his lips. And I have to also say the Doncaster fan who flashed the backside on Saturday was very quickly thrown out and arrested. Curbs, Jacko said he wants to play 2 up front. It looks like Connor has the shirt alongside Jayden over Josh Davison at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he knows he's breathing down his neck as well, because, you know, Stockley's been left out this season, which was a bit of a shock, but Davison come in, he done well, and now he's sitting on the bench waiting for his opportunity. They all would have liked to have played against Doncaster,
yes,
you know, at the weekend. But what I like about the team at the moment is Mr. Reliable. You know what you're going to get, and if it's going against you and you say to him, look, go and play right back for 5 minutes, he'll go there.
Yeah.
You know, you need them sort of players in your side. You know, that you can, you know, if you ask them to do something, they just go and do it.
He said he doesn't want to, but he'll do it.
He'll do it.
You know, he wants to play up front.
Sometimes that can go against you as a player, but not if the manager appreciates it, it won't. You know, and I think if we're under a bit of pressure tonight, he may be just dropping in and let Stockley just go up there on his own. We'll have to see. But, you know, he's like Permington for me, another one who you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Just on Connor, Ali, I mean, he's been around the EFL for a number of seasons now. He's starting to rediscover his goal form that he had for Peterborough last season. He is an important player, isn't he, for this side?
I think absolutely. You know, if you're going to play 2 up front, as Jacko seems to want to, then you want to develop a partnership. There's no point having 2 of the same. And probably with the qualities that Stockley has, someone who drops in even deeper than Stockley and doesn't run in behind isn't going to help the team too much either. So Washington's perfect for me. When he was at his best, scoring the most goals of his career, he was constantly running in behind and finishing one-on-one. So that's what we want to see more from him. And his pressing numbers are brilliant as well. So energetic, as you say, a real team player.
I know Paul Warne very well. I know Richie Barker very well from Rotherham. I was chatting to them earlier. I could tell you a fair bit. But tell us more. You tell us more, Ali, about Rotherham and what we're expecting tonight.
Well, you're going to see 2 teams setting up in a fairly similar shape, and 2 teams, I think, who will consider good crossing from deep and from the byline where possible onto the heads of Stockley and Smith as being a good avenue of attack. Rotherham are just 4 years into their development under Paul Warne, whereas Jacko's side are only 2 weeks. But
let's have a look at our side then first, if we can. And it is just the one change, as we've said, Curbs. And again, you know, already you can see that Jacko's basically saying, as you've touched on already, you play well in the team and you train well as well. Yeah. You stay in the team. Yeah. That's what any player can ask for.
Especially when you've got a big squad like this. But the 3 centre-backs, for me tonight, are going to have to play extremely well.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Rotherham's team as well. 2 changes. Ferguson, Wood in for Ferguson, should I say, and Miller in for Ogbemi. System. Will Grigg on the bench there as well. They are a very strong side, Ali, aren't they?
They're a strong side, physically very, very strong. They will play direct football and they'll look to get really good quality crosses into the box. But they play with intensity, with speed. Often you see direct football, it's a bit slow, with a low block in defence. It's not very exciting. That's not this Rotherham side. They will press very high as well. They rank very highly in the league for high turnovers, winning the ball very close to the opposition goal. Those are dangerous situations. So, you know, big threats, but because they do press high, a couple of good passes and a run in behind, and you can be in behind this Rotherham side very quickly. I want to give some hope to the watching Charlton fans, because no team is perfect, and with this crowd behind them and the threats that Charlton had on the weekend, if they can recreate that performance, we should be in for an absolute cracker.
Yeah, it's a big game for me, I have to say. I spent 3 thoroughly enjoyable years at Rotherham. I would love them to go up, but only if Charlton can go up with them as well, and not in front of us, of course. Let's get to our commentary team of Terry Smith and Stevie Brown.
Because I can't be bothered to mix it all up. Well, so we'll see which team is stronger in the formation, because we're set out very similar.
It could be a question of who